Have you ever noticed a baby staring intensely at someone? Maybe it was you, maybe it was a stranger in a restaurant, or someone sitting across the room. Babies sometimes lock their eyes onto certain people for surprisingly long periods of time. And, honestly, it can feel a little awkward, especially when they refuse to look away. So, why do babies do this? Are they recognizing something adults can't see? Do babies somehow sense personalities? Or are they simply curious? The real answer is actually much more fascinating. Because when babies stare at people, their brains are doing something incredibly important. They're learning how humans work. Unlike adults, babies enter the world knowing very little about faces, emotions, and social behavior. Everything is new to them. Every face, every expression, every voice, every movement, and during the first years of life, a baby's brain develops at an astonishing speed. In fact, scientists estimate the babies form more than 1 million neural connections every second during early development. That means their brains are constantly searching for information, especially social information. Humans are naturally social creatures, and for babies, understanding people is essential for survival, so their brains pay extremely close attention to faces. But here's where it gets interesting. Babies don't stare at everyone equally. Research suggests babies are more likely to stare at faces they find unusual, emotionally expressive, or visually interesting. For example, babies are often drawn to people with strong facial expressions, bright clothing, glasses, facial hair, large smiles, unique hairstyles, or distinctive features that stand out from the crowd. To a baby's developing brain, these features provide more information to study. Babies are essentially tiny scientists observing the world around them, and faces are one of their favorite subjects. But appearance isn't the only factor. Babies are also highly sensitive to emotion. Even at a very young age, babies can detect facial expressions and emotional energy surprisingly well. They often pay closer attention to people who appear warm, calm, animated, or emotionally engaging. That's because human brains are built to seek emotional connection from birth. Interestingly, babies are also naturally attracted to eye contact. Eye contact helps babies learn communication and social bonding. When someone smiles at a baby or looks directly at them, the baby's brain becomes highly engaged. This interaction helps develop emotional and social skills that will shape future relationships. There's another surprising reason babies stare. They're trying to predict behavior. Adults already understand basic human patterns. We know what smiles mean. We recognize emotions quickly, but babies are still learning these patterns for the very first time. Every interaction becomes valuable data for the brain. The more a baby observes people, the more their brain learns how humans behave. Some researchers even believe babies spend extra time observing faces they struggle to understand. In other words, if a person looks unfamiliar or behaves differently from what the baby expects, the baby may stare longer, simply because their brain is working harder to process the information. And despite popular myths, babies are not secretly judging people. They're not detecting whether someone is good or bad. Most of the time, their staring is driven by curiosity, learning, and brain development, not supernatural instincts. Although sometimes it may certainly feel personal. And perhaps the most amazing part is this. Long before babies can speak, read, or understand language, their brains are already intensely studying human behavior, watching faces, analyzing emotions, learning social patterns, and slowly building the foundation for understanding the world around them. So the next time a baby stares at you from across the room, don't panic. You probably aren't being judged. You just happen to be fascinating to a rapidly developing human brain. And without realizing it, you may have become part of one of the most important learning processes in human life.